Hi, hello. I'm showing up on your screen right now because you chose to acknowledge your issues and your emotions. I'm very proud of you, just so you know. So, you probably pressed on this video because you saw the title, which is something along the lines of, hey, if you're having a reading slump, it's okay. I don't know what I'm gonna name this video, to be very honest with you, and I'm gonna... My laptop fell. And I am going to keep this video probably as friendly and, I don't know, conversational as possible. I want you to know that right now this video is not planned, it's not scripted, it's not nothing. It is planned in the sense that I thought about this topic probably a couple of days ago and I made a couple of points that I want to make, but it's really a conversation, and so I'm always being very spontaneous. I never really script my videos, and you can probably tell that, but you get it. This is a conversation type of video. So, my huge problem that I've noticed probably last week, and I could not help but not discuss, is this year I haven't really read to my liking, right? I've been in a mental space that is very hectic, and that has definitely created the space in which I feel like I don't have the time or energy to read. And I know for a fact this is a very common experience. It's a very healthy expression of a not so healthy mental space at the end of the day, to have reading slumps. This is what this video is about. So I did what pretty much every single human being does with access to the internet, and I searched reading slumps on YouTube. And every single result was just video after video after video of tips and tricks, of book recommendations, short and long, to get out of these reading slumps. How to do that, whatever. None of them felt like they were actually doing what I wish they would have done and what I want to do through this video, and that is to actually acknowledge and validate the fact that there is a reading slump. We concentrate so much on trying to get over these humps that we don't even acknowledge that there's probably something there that's blocking the way. We just want to get over it. And as much as I respect that to some degree, no, I do respect that. And I understand that. And I hear you. I have a slight theory that you're going to notice throughout this video, and I'm going to state from the beginning. I think not honoring and not feeling your way through your reading slumps and acknowledging them is going to harm your relationship with reading and writing. And that is my premise for this video. And I'm going to get into why as we go. So, thank you for watching, first and foremost. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope it feels as comforting and validating as I would like it to be, because these are the types of videos that I would love to see on the internet, where we don't just focus on this grinding mentality and on this motivational, which is great. It's great, just for the record, all this motivational content, but I think balance is key. This year, for example, I haven't read as much as I would have liked to. I did read maybe more than, I don't know, 2 years ago, something like that. But it's still not to my liking, right? And I want to say that it made me feel ashamed a lot of the times, and it made me feel stupid a lot of the times, and very disorganized and inadequate that I wasn't doing this, right? Because my first issue is probably with the amount of identifying with our hobbies that we do. So this is basically my first element of the discussion. The moment I started to like reading, the moment I started to get validated and to have little comments from people that I knew stuff, and the moment I started to get noticed probably for reading, even in my family and stuff like that, because they were all such big enjoyers of the literature, it was like this, oh, well, if you're acknowledging me now, and if you're telling me I'm great now, then I want you to keep feeding that ego of mine. And so I will take this on as my identity. I will do this all the time. I will attach my entire mental, physical, and everything capacity to this one character trait of being a reader. And if I don't do that, I'll feel like I completely lost myself. And that is a feeling that I personally have and that I know a lot of people have. Where it's almost like, oh, well, if I don't read this, this, and that, then I'm not myself anymore, right? Don't you feel like when you're not reading and when you're not doing, oh, take that out. Take reading out completely. It could be singing. It could be photography. It could be whatever you feel passionate about. If you're not doing that one thing, then you don't have a personality anymore. You're not yourself anymore. And that is absolute bull. You get me. Because you were a person even before you started to do those things. It's just that somebody told you that, oh, I'm noticing you now. And the fact that they noticed you is what feeds you all the time. And it's once again this whole discussion of being there and existing solely in rapport to other people and their feedback of you. No. If you truly love something, you and I both know that it doesn't matter if other people notice it or not. It doesn't matter what people think. It's your perspective. It's you and those pages. It's you and those words and you and that book. And nobody can tell you you're less valuable, you're less smart, you're less anything just because you're not reading all the time, just because you're not singing all the time, just because you're... No. You have so much to bring to this world, and not all of it is just through hard work. I'm gonna be probably bashed for saying that at some point in my life, but hey, so be it. You know what else is not cool? Not allowing a certain level of introspection. And what I mean by that is a lot of the times when we are depressed, when we are exhausted emotionally, mentally, whatever, we feel the need to take a break from any kind of stimulation. And a lot of the times we try to ignore that because, and this is another issue that I bring into the discussion, society keeps feeding us this idea that we always have to be productive, that we always have to be doing something, that we always... And I get that. Yes, it's true. At some point, you're not going to be on this world anymore, and you're going to look back, and you're going to look back at all the things that you've done and you haven't done, and all the things you've experienced and you haven't. But who is to say you don't need to actually build up the energy to do those things? Or the mental space to actually honor those things? Because if you really want to live a life that you love, you should do things with passion. But passion isn't just born out of no energy, right? It's not born just out of trying to create... Passion is not something that is built solely through your own powers. It's also something that just happens because. Once again, I don't know. This is purely my opinion, and it's the way that I see things, and I hope it rings right to you as well. If not, that's fine. Please let me know. But I hate the amount... hate is a strong word, but I really despise the amount of... I don't even know what to call it. It's like this... it's this tunnel vision almost messaging that, yeah, sure, you can sit with your emotions for 5 seconds and then you're done and then you can get over them and with everything that's going on in your life and you can get back to what you were doing. And yeah, sure, that's great. But in a sense, I mean, there is a message out there to be taken out of that. I mean, you shouldn't start self-loathing and you shouldn't get into a victim mentality and you shouldn't stay there for long periods of time. but it should be acknowledged. It should be sat with. It should be looked at. It's an emotion. A lot of the times when we're tired, when we're having these moments in which we cannot read, in which we cannot do something that would otherwise bring us positivity, that would that would normally bring us joy. If we associate them with something negative right now, is that not a sign that we're probably not in a good space and we should be looking at the root cause rather than trying to get over? I'm just saying. Because take me, for example. This year, I haven't read, and I know exactly why. Because I've had a lot of emotional turmoil going on. I've had a lot of anxiety going on with my life and what I'm going to do for the next few years. There are so many things that have gone on a personal, especially emotional basis that have gone on and have created this chaos in my mind that I somehow feel the need to control things and to stay in a place that is sure. And so I feel very entrapped. And somehow that also translates in not taking joy from the things that I would normally love. Because I feel like I can't allow myself to do those things, because sometimes I feel like it's a loss of time. Or sometimes I just do not have the energy because I've been putting so much energy into those thoughts and into all those anxieties that I do not have the energy to do things that nurture the creative side of myself, that nurture positivity and whatnot. And that's fine. But you shouldn't look at it, at least in my opinion, from a place of how do I get over it. You should look at it from a place of what's going on and why is this happening? What can I do to change the perspective? You shouldn't change what you're doing necessarily. You should change the perspective back to what it was, because that's what made you enjoy it in the first place, not just doing that for the sake of doing that. Which brings me on to another topic, and that is this almost performance of passion, if that makes sense. I feel like, and this one's going to be a very short point, but throughout the years, I've noticed with a lot of YouTubers and with a lot of trying out different things and reading this and reading that, it's just this over consumption of information just because it's trendy, just because it goes, just because it sells, just because it's something people would click on, something people would engage with. And I get that. You're trying to make a living, and that's great. But sometimes it truly does feel like it's not coming from a place of actual interest in that thing. And once again, I'll give the example. I know Colleen Hoover books are really popular right now. Let me not get into that. And I don't know where I stand with them, because the reviews that say it's bad ring a lot with me, because I only see little snippets that people allow me to see and how their opinions go. And I would tend to agree with probably those bad reviews, knowing myself and what I like to read. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to do a review on that, even if it's trendy as heck, because I don't feel like I have the curiosity right now to read that kind of book, and I don't want to force myself to read something that I don't personally enjoy. Or not even, it's not about enjoying, because actually with Murakami but I had a curiosity. I genuinely wanted to know what this man writes. What's his writing style? Would I go back to it? I don't know. And I don't have that yet with Colleen Hoover. And I feel like we just do this thing too much, where it's just putting things out there for the sake of creating engagement, or for the sake of creating an image. You get me?
Hi. Hello. I am sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to clear up that this is my bad. Not really a point in the area of reading slumps, but it's more so a point for the reading community. I just feel like there is over coverage, I guess, of certain books, and there's little coverage on some books that maybe might benefit from some attention. It was more about diversity and, encouraging people to read what they like, not always go for things that are popular. Though you can find great reads. Don't get me wrong. That was my only point. I'm sorry. That was not the best point for the actual purpose of the video, but I guess it was a side point.
Another huge problem that I have is this almost elitism in what is considered smart and what isn't. Once again, a very short point, but why is it less reading if you're listening to an audiobook than if you were to actually read? Yeah, sure, it's a different format. Or you're watching a movie, or we almost, I hate this idea that there is a right way to do things, that there is a right way to be a reader, a right way to be a writer. Like, okay, if you want to attach a meaning that isn't really there to something, go ahead, be my guest. But it doesn't make you any less of a person or a reader. If you have a reading slump, if you read audiobooks, if you watch the movie first and then you read the book, or if you choose to not read something just because it's trendy. I also think silence has its benefits. You know, if you're not consuming anything, you actually get to sit a lot of the times with the things that you've consumed throughout the time prior. And I think that that's really beneficial to actually making reviews. Hence why I like to sit a bit with my thoughts and to ruminate them a bit and look at situations from different perspectives. So maybe I won't do a review of a book quite as fast as I finish reading it, or I won't say my 2 cents until a bit later. Could it be a control freak issue? Maybe. But I still think that's really valuable. And it also just gives your brain time to disengage, listen a bit, have its own way of looking at things and accepting its own way of looking at things, because the more you ignore it and the more you look at other things and the more you get influenced by someone's Goodreads review, then yeah, you're probably not going to get a lot of joy out of that. I mean, sure, you can get some satisfaction that is somewhat temporary, that you read something and you scratch something off a list, but is that really what you want to do? So, getting back to my very final point, and that is that I think, truly, forcing a reading slump to be over can harm your relationship with reading or writing. I really think that the more you try to force something to happen that isn't coming from a at least somewhat healthy mind space, will turn into resentment. In the sense that throughout the years, I don't think it's manageable to keep pushing yourself like all of these people do on the internet, to put things out and to work all the time, and it just feels like your brain is on overdrive. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that is healthy. I don't see how that could create a space in which you learn to enjoy something that you feel like you're being forced to do. We talk about free will and we talk about people enjoying doing things and we talk about passion. But what we don't talk about is the fact that passion is not something that is constant and every single moment. Passion is something that is there on a low-key note, probably at all times, but then at others, it just keeps having these ups and downs. You can't control it, and you shouldn't have to. Of course, you can schedule things. Of course, you can try to keep yourself, especially if you have a career going into this, but I just think if you keep doing this long-term, basically, it's going to make you hate reading. I don't see how forcing yourself to read books is going to make it a more enjoyable task. I don't see how collecting bookshelves upon bookshelves is going to make you a better person. I don't think it will. And there is no shame in saying you don't know something. There is no shame in saying you didn't read something, or you didn't have time to, or you didn't have the space to do so. It's actually healthy to do that. You should do things because you love doing things. You should give yourself that privilege and that opportunity to create that kind of space. Because if for some reason something that would normally bring you joy right now is making you worried, is making you feel negative, then you should sit with that. Look at what is the cause of that. Be kind to yourself. As I say, acknowledge it, sit a bit with it, and then try to look into ways in which you could work around it or you can change the perspective. It's like being in a relationship with a person and you keep trying to change the person, but you don't really change anything about how you approach the person. It's like blaming one partner for the downfall of a relationship or a friendship or whatever. There is no such thing. That book is right there. And it's not going to read itself, that's for sure. But right now, I don't feel like reading about, I don't know, Egyptian architecture. That's fine. Maybe one day I will. I'll still have it right there. There's no shame in doing that. I know this is very erratic and it feels more like a conversation, which I feel like every single video of mine goes into that direction because I don't script them, but I really wanted to put this out and to make a point out of it because I would like to hear this. I hope you guys would like to hear it too. And I want you to remember that indifferent of what is going on in your life, this is your journey and nobody has the right to tell you how to live your life, how to feel your emotions, how to get over them, or how to pursue your passions. You're going to pursue them in your own time, in your own way, because that's going to create what's the most authentic and what's the most unique. And that's all you need. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to count the amount of people that like you. You're going to count the amount of good memories that you have. So yeah, I'm sending you guys all my love. I'm reminding you to not perform your passions and to be who you are and to acknowledge whatever is going on in your life. And know that whatever you're going through is valid. And from me to you, because you're great and you're very brave for watching this. Thanks for watching again. Kisses.